Track 1, 2. Good morning. Turned off the music, everybody got quiet. Put it back on. Well, welcome. This is 1 Million Cups. My name is Ron. I'm one of the organizers. Shay is right there, one of the other organizers. Natalie, raise your hand. Her croissant. David is not here with us. He's one of the other organizers. His daughter is sick, so he couldn't make it. And somewhere in Kansas City, Nancy is watching us through live stream. So this is by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. And we recently moved to Rollins. We are now seeking a new coffee sponsor. So as you can notice right here, Barney's Coffee is currently providing me with a few pounds of coffee. So tweet at them, Instagram them, say, hey, love the coffee, give us some more. So maybe that'll encourage them to become a permanent fixture as the sponsorship, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. The format, for those of you, just out of show of hands, who's here for the first time? Wow, that's awesome. So just real briefly, typically we have two presenters, 6 minutes presentation, 20 minutes Q&A. But today we have only one presenter, so we're going to give a little bit more leeway in the presentation time and the Q&A time. We're also going to tell you a very interesting story in a couple minutes, so that way we'll be able to do that. What that means is that we need your help to bring startups to come and tell us their story. So if you know companies, you know people that are less than 3 years of age and that have a scalable business, then please let us know. Say that again? Oh, or companies, startups, fine, pick on me. Wait until you get the mic in a minute. So tell them to come here. A lot of people say, well, my presentation's not good, or I'm not ready. You're ready. This is not Shark Tank, it's Guppy Tank. So we're here to be constructive, not destructive. So join us, get them to come in and tell their story, and we can help them. By the way, by presenting here at 1 Million Cups in Orlando, automatically qualifies you to present at in more than 40 cities across the United States. So we have a passport program, so once you're presented in one location, you can apply to present in other locations. So it's a great opportunity to tell your story in other environments where entrepreneurs and startups thrive and want to hear about other journeys and other stories. So leverage this and come to us, because this, by the way, this was done by the Kauffman Foundation. And the Kauffman Foundation launched this a little bit over 2 years ago. We were the 12th or 13th city, right, Shay? And that's back in September of last year. We're now in more than 40 cities. We will be in more than 70 cities before the end of the year, and probably 1 or 2 of them will be international. So great stuff, lots of growth, very interesting things. A little housekeeping before we move on. If you've not parked in the parking across the street on Fairbanks, you may have some issues. So I'm just telling you, although right now school's over and finals are pretty much done, but please be careful. Parking is free. If you have a parking receipt, just stamp it over there. It's on the table, there's a stamp, and you can use, you can just, it's provided to us by Rollins College, so not an issue there. So glad you finally made it. Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to hold everybody until he's here now. Oh, funny. So parking again. By the way, the passage is going to change. We're going to cross it in a little bit on the other side of the street, but again, you'll notice as that happens. What I want to talk to you guys for a brief moment before we have Robert and our tracker come up is a question that all of us as organizers get is like, well, talk to me about, exits, or has anyone gotten money, or what has been the impact of this 1 million cup thing you're doing and why you're doing this. So it's an interesting thing. And last week I received this email that absolutely floored me. And I want you guys to meet this young woman whose name is Chastity Williams. Chastity came to the first 1 million cups that we held way back when in September in downtown Orlando. She used to work for a company called Soft Rock in the HR department. And she came to a bunch of 1 million cups along the way. And then she reaches out to me. She goes, oh, by the way, I'm freelancing now. I'm looking for the next big thing. Just want you to know. I'm like, that's awesome. Next thing I know, I see her LinkedIn profile change, and she's got a new job. She is working for a nonprofit. So I reach out to her, and I said, hey, this is awesome. Congratulations. Tell me more. She goes, I saw this announcement looking for a community manager for this nonprofit. I sold everything that I have. I bought a one-way ticket to Guatemala, which is where I live now. I'm operating a nonprofit for children that have been abused and displaced in Guatemala. And then she adds, and by the way, the inspiration, the push, came amongst others from people at 1 million cups. Sitting in the room and listening to passionate entrepreneurs doing what they love every day is what finally told me that I'm not happy. When I wake up in the morning, I'm chasing the dollar, but it's not satisfying me. So she says, thank you. And I'm like, what? No, thank you. And thank you guys, because it's people like you that help and do and inspire others that come to events like these. And the reason I have her information up here is for two reasons. A, give her a shout out on Twitter, because I think she'd really get a kick out of it. And the second thing is, on Facebook right now, Chastity is raising money for her charity and to run a half marathon. So it's for running a half marathon, which is in Guatemala. And that's the Facebook page. So you can find more information about the charity, about the home, about what she's doing. And I was thrilled when I got the email. I was thrilled to share it both with our team here and with 1 million cups back in Kansas City. And I just wanted to, she said, by the way, if you want to share it with the audience, by all means do that. And I went, absolutely, thank you. And so I wanted to share that with you guys so you can see how it doesn't necessarily have to do with just the business side of things. It can also have an impact on more than that. So again, thank you to you guys for helping to do this, and tell others to come and join us. And now without any further ado, we're going to introduce Art Tracker and Robert, and I will switch the presentation.
Good morning. My name is Robert Thompson. And before I begin today, actually it's the Prezi I need. Before I begin today, I want to ask a question. How many of you live or have lived in a neighborhood that has a homeowners association, by a show of hands? Oh, wonderful! This is going to be great. And for the rest, so you can sympathize with the pain. And the rest of you who haven't, hopefully by the end of today, you'll have learned a little bit about what goes on in the homeowners association. We're doing this kind of dry, so I haven't used this computer before. Therefore, bear with me. I need your help today. I'm going to tell you a story, okay? And I'm hoping this story will kind of give you an idea as to what my company does. As every good story goes, it ought to have a villain. And so, my villain is this, paper form. It's not a very intimidating villain, as you can tell. Therefore, I need your help to make it more intimidating. So whenever I say the word paper form, I want you guys to add that sound effect. Dun, dun, dun. Let's practice it right now, okay? Paper form. There you go, thank you. Now that's a villain for you. Okay, so when we first meet our villain, he's actually affecting the life of a very first victim. So, next slide. Sally homeowner. Sally homeowner is a very innocent and naive homeowner living in the mythical neighborhood of, wow, what's it called? Let me think. It's called Arrowhead, that's correct. So Sally wants to paint her house. She wants to repaint her house. Now she lives in a neighborhood, Arrowhead, that has a homeowners association. And she knows right away that what she has to do is do battle with paper form. Thank you. Now she has done battle with him before. Actually, it's the second time. The first time she mailed him off. 2 weeks later, she called to find out what happened, found it had gotten lost. So she's doing it a second time. She actually has the ability to paint this coming weekend, but the problem is no requests for approval of painting has ever been approved in Arrowhead in less than 3 weeks. So she has no chance. So, with a heavy heart, Sally fills out paper form and puts it in the mail. Next slide. 2 days later, one more time. Paper form encounters, paper form, thank you. Paper form encounters his next victim. You guys are too good. Phil, the manager. Now, Phil actually works for the management company that helps Arrowhead, the association. When Phil sees the request, his heart drops. I didn't say paper form. This is a good groove here. He knows that he has an arduous task ahead of him. He has to copy, he has to log it, date stamp it, put it in the file, and then put the original in the mail to the committee that votes on these things. And then he has to wait. And then every day he answers maybe 3 or 4 phone calls from irate homeowners saying, I turned my request in last week, or 2 weeks ago, what's the status? And he'll say, it's not in my hands. The committee has to vote, they have to get it back to you. As soon as I hear, I'll let you know. And then he knows that when it's finally done, it comes back to him, he has to copy it, put it in the file, stamp it, and mail out to the homeowner, letting them know the status of his request. He's not a happy person. And he thinks to himself, there has to be a better way. Next slide. 2 days later, Archie, the ARC chairperson, receives paper form. Archie knows that when he gets the request, his job is to get the committee together to vote on this thing, which is a real task in itself. First of all, they have to get their schedules together, maybe 2 or 3 weeks before they actually get to meet. And there may not be enough information, so he has to contact the homeowner, get the answers as to what color they're going to paint or what kind of paint they're going to use, and then get all the information ready to vote on these things. So he knows that he himself is under the gun. Now, as every story has a villain, it also has to have a hero. And so let's meet today's hero. One more time. Thank you. Aha, ta-da-da. Okay. Now, Arc Tracker, our hero, enters the scene, and this is where you have to bear with me. We can just switch over to the video. Arc Tracker first goes to Sally homeowner and says, guess what? No longer do you have to use paper form. Go ahead and play. Now, all you've got to do is go to arctracker.com, enter your email, click on a new ARC request, select the type of request you need to get done, maybe even choose your paint colors online, fill in a title, explain what you're trying to do, make it a case for yourself, explain why you're doing what you're doing, and then she says, I want to paint my house. Very good. And then submit it. And even after you've submitted it, right away, email goes to the committee. You can come back and ask later on, what's the status? Or answer questions that the committee asks right online. So that communication back and forth between the homeowner and the ARC is taken care of right on ArcTracker itself. So she asks the questions, she posts it. Again, an email goes out to the committee. They get to log in and take a look at what's happening. The committee now gets an email saying, I've got a new request to review. All they do is click in. The committee members enter their email. Now, they have a password. They don't have, because you don't want anybody spoofing them. And they go in, take a look at the request. and they can see what the paint colors are or what the request is all about. They look at any attachments, and then they can actually type their requests. In this case, he's saying, are you planning to paint your garage door? And what color will that be? Again, communications goes back and forth between the committee member and the homeowner instantaneously by email. After the committee members decided they have enough information, they can vote to approve or deny right online. And as soon as the number of votes needed to approve or deny is reached, the system automatically approves or denies it and sends an email back to the homeowner, so the homeowner knows about it. So, with that, you can switch back to the one. Arc Tracker says, my job here is done. I've solved the problem. I've defeated paper form. Thank you. And so, what happened to our victims? Let's take one more look. Next slide. Now, Sally is painting her house this weekend because she got it approved in time. Phil, the manager, Archie, the chairperson, is playing a lot more golf these days because he's not spending all his time running meetings, trying to get information on this. And then the last person, Phil, the property manager owner, has a lot more time now to get new neighborhoods under his portfolio because he's not spending all his time copying and mailing and answering questions from homeowners. So there you are. They all live happily ever after, the end. So that's my product. And now I'll be willing to accept any questions. How did I do on time? Okay. Repeat the question? Okay. I will do it. Over here. That's exactly right. I think if you look at my 3 victims, there are 2 of those victims who are willing to pay. The homeowner's not going to pay. But the association, the convenience, okay? And in fact, most homeowner association presidents, which I was one for 7 years, wants to please the association. They have a bad rap anyway. So the easier they can make it for their homeowners and the more convenient for themselves, it's worth it. So my price, if you wanted to know, is actually $2 per lot per year. So the whole association can pay for it. The property management company is also incentivized to pay for this because they can actually cut costs. They no longer have to store and do all that labor to track all the information. So both of those are my customers that I'm going after, paying customers. Yes, Natalie. Well, I'm actually, at this point in time, I'm looking for investment money to roll out a sales effort. I actually have 3 neighborhoods already signed up using the product. And that's all by dint of my own effort. So what I really need to do is get a sales force out there, develop sales material, and basically capture the market as quickly as possible because I do have a patent pending on the site, on the concept. Those of you who have no patents can probably realize I'm not absolutely sure there's enough to actually get a full patent on this. So my effort is to get to market, capture as much market share as possible, and be the market leader. So I want to roll out pretty quickly with a sales effort. Over here. Okay, again, sorry, Ron, I forgot to repeat the question. The question is, who am I going to market to or how am I going to market to? So my marketing plan is pretty simple. I start with the association itself because they understand the concept very well. I can present to them. Most associations are managed by a property management company. So the association is basically a stepping stone to get to the property management company. If I can get a property management company to buy into the concept, I can get them to put me in front of 50, 100 associations at one time and endorse the product. So basically, that's the way I plan to market it out. I really want to capture property management companies because that's where the big dollars lie. Go ahead. That's the Community Associations Institute. It takes place in May, this month, I think. Again, I'd love to be involved. Money is my issue right now. I have talked to them. I've been to some of their events, and it's a good networking opportunity. I'm not going to be involved this year, but I plan to be next year. Way in the back, yes. Now, good question. What you've seen is real. Basically, it's in use today. I want to give it a facelift because, sexy sells a little better. Also, I want to do a self-service sign-up. Right now, there's an admin side of this where I have to put the neighborhood in myself. I'd like to develop an admin interface where an association come in and do everything themselves, manage it all themselves, and sign up. So it's easier to get them up. So there's a little more build-out to do. But right now, the product's available, and I'm ready to actually take it to market today. Back over here. So what are our major objections to the concept? So somebody came to me earlier today and said, duh, why isn't everybody doing this? There's some education to take place in the market. A lot of homeowners associations believe that you have to have a meeting. And therefore they say doing it online, we're not so sure it passes muster. Now I have legal opinions that say differently. So that's one of the challenges. There are two responses to that. One, legally I think that we're okay. But I also, with ARC Tracker, have the ability to continue to have homeowners, what they call ARC meetings, committee meetings. And all they do is just vote at the meeting on the site. So they gain the convenience, they gain the speed, and they can still keep their meetings if they want to. But basically, the biggest barrier has been education to the association market these days. I don't know who is first. Let's go with you, and I'll come to you. You could. So ARC Tracker tries to provide a turnkey solution, a full service solution. So we have a telephone support. We've thought through everything. But you're right. The barriers to entry are actually pretty low. The patent, if I could get a patent, it would be great. So what my objective is to really capture market share, be the leader. Companies that actually have software that associations use to manage like fines and violations and dues, you would think that they would be interested in this. But again, what they want is just to put the software out there. They don't want to provide a full service solution where customers can actually call and you manage the entire process for them. So that's where I'm hoping I'll be ahead of the game. No, not yet. I don't think I'm going to go there yet. I'm being pretty narrow in my scope right now for ARC. Actually, there's one other possible application, and that is the permitting for municipalities. So I'm actually approaching Winter Park to see if I'd get them to be interested in using a similar concept to do approvals of permits for like fences and stuff like that. So back in the corner over here. Yeah, now if I can get on, I can show you live online, but what happens with this, in this case, when you choose your request type, there's a policy link. And you click on that link, and for that particular neighborhood, the policy that applies for that particular request, whether it be painting or a fence, is outlined. And the homeowner, at the time they submit, has to click a little checkbox saying, I've read the policy and my request complies. Helps the ARC with any arguments about, I didn't know I couldn't paint my house pink, or something like that. So yes, so it has the capability to include all of the relevant policies for that association right within the site itself. I keep forgetting to repeat the questions, Rod, sorry. Any other questions? Right here. So the question is, how do I handle the privacy issue of having other neighbors see what's going on? It's a very interesting question, and I've learned a lot about this during my course as president of the association and in developing the product. Different states have different laws, but a lot of them are very similar. The privacy issue takes a back seat to basically fairness and openness. So in Florida, sunshine laws and the state of Florida says you can't hide it, you can't vote in secret, because what one neighbor does affects the entire neighborhood. So they want openness rather than privacy. So I actually had to construct the site so that any neighbor can log in and see what's going on any other request that's being submitted. We don't share email addresses, but they get to log in and look, and they actually get to be part of the conversation. They can actually chime in and say, I don't want that house, that fence put up because it's going to block my view of the retention pond, or something like that, So they get to actually chime in and say those things, and that's actually by state preference. State wants to have everyone in the community participate and be able to voice. They want to have open meetings, and that's a state requirement.
So the trend is towards more open.
It is. It is. In this particular case, now there are certain things in the homeowners associations that have to remain private, obviously things that are of legal nature or maybe involving finances. But for architectural review, this is one that has to be open. Good question. Here. So, again, if you went to demo.arctracker.com/hourhead, you will see that obviously the communication log helps facilitate communication between the committee and the homeowner, and everyone is copied. So if I, as a committee member, post a comment, it not only goes to the homeowner, but to my fellow committee members. And in addition, like I said, if you wanted to have neighbors participate, they can also voice their opinion. So it's, in a sense, a virtual meeting. And in fact, I've been trying to make that case that this constitutes an ongoing perpetual virtual meeting. So yeah, it's definitely an angle. Over here. Come work for me? I could use that help. Because, you know, my forte is technical, building the product. I'll be honest, I'm not a great marketer. So I'm looking for a sales and marketing assistant, and I actually have some people who are giving me some strategic guidance in that respect. I'm looking for social media guidance, somebody who understands how people think about these things. I think a good entrepreneur realizes his limitations and knows when to reach out for help. So I am looking for all that kind of help. Again, the idea of private labeling, what a great idea. You could come work for me too. Yeah, you know, that's the idea. I think one of my possible exit strategies is even to sell the product to one of these large property management companies nationwide. So that's definitely a possibility out there. I do want to build a presence first so I prove the concept and people understand the value before they do this. But great idea, great idea. I think I may have answered all the questions so far. All right?
I have a quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about marketing, you looked at real estate agreements that deal with property management, and looked at where or how you can move forward to get through to your company, and dovetailing on Jason's comment.
Mm-hmm. Their products. So I've been talking to different property management companies, and the nice thing about the state of Florida, at least, is that last year all associations have to register with the state. So I actually got a download of every single homeowners association in the state of Florida and contact information for their property management companies. So I'm able to reach them. The idea is it takes time to actually have those conversations and describe the concept and get them on board. But I have been talking to two in the area about the very same thing, getting it as part of their product suite and using it for all their neighborhoods. So again, this is not my full-time job, guys, yet. It will be, I hope, but right now it's, you know, it's as I can.
So you had an ask earlier. Are you going to get other questions?
Homeowner associations and property management companies, because property management companies can actually log in and review everything themselves also. I'm afraid that in my presentation, because I thought I had very limited time, I didn't show all the features. So there is that. So every request you have, you just add an attachment. You can either snap a photo and upload it or scan it in, and because that's one of the requirements. If you have to submit a drawing, for instance, for a fence, so that's there. Couldn't show everything all in one in the 6 minutes I thought I had. All right, so I guess before I leave, thank you very much for your time. If you want to know how to help, obviously give me contacts. I'm trying to reach homeowner associations. If you're an investor, I'm always willing to talk to you. And certainly in terms of the skills, sales, and ideas, I'm open. Thank you very much for your time.
No, you have to, otherwise it doesn't record.
Sorry, they're making me talk. I'm sorry for you guys. Only one cup of coffee today. So we just wanted to, again, just share the same request that we typically do. We do have a lot of people applying. I did see this past week, we did have a rush of like 3 or 4 new applicants come in. And we would love to have them coming in, I guess, more frequent, just because we have a lot of scheduling and trying to meet everyone's scheduling demands. So while we do have a lot of applicants in the pipeline, we haven't been able to schedule them as tight as we'd like to. So we'd appreciate that you guys continue to share the word, spread the word about our community. We also had a friend. Where is La Palme? Is it La Palme? Where? Oh, La Palme. The magazines that are out on display. These are a publication that's nationwide, and it's arts, culture, it's fashion. And so he's here just spreading the word about his publication. If you want to talk to him later, there are advertising opportunities, and also just to share if you know anywhere, distribution that might be looking, to take on the magazine. Coffee. We are, if we don't get Barney's to continue to sponsor, we are looking for another coffee sponsor. I wonder if we can maybe consider if a company would sponsor the coffee that isn't actually a coffee sponsor. So maybe another corporate sponsor that might sponsor coffee we might consider. Did you have? Okay. And then again, we always just like to mention everyone else who's contributing to the success and helping out 1 Million Cups, which is Joycaster, who handles our live streaming. If you're not here, you're here for the first time and you cannot make it back, or if there's a week that you can't make it in for some reason to the area, we do live stream broadcast. How do they get to it? Is it from the website or is it through Facebook? On our YouTube channel. So you can always live stream there. I had someone text me and say, I can't make it, traffic, I'm just gonna go to my office, can I just watch it on live stream? I'm like, sure. No, you have to be here. But the coffee is not as good online, but if all else fails, I don't know. I think that's it. Thank you all for showing up. I'm sorry.
Where do you live streams for us?
I said Joycaster, did I? Kind of, maybe? Normally, we had a lot of new faces here. So typically the format for this is there are 2 companies, 2 startups that are presenting. They do a 6-minute presentation and then we open up for a 20-minute Q&A. So this was a little bit unconventional because we had someone fall out last minute. But typically you would have 2 presenters up here sharing their stuff, and we just really love that you guys can stay after, connect, maybe share some resources to help our presenters make this the most of this event. So thank you.
Clean up.